Well, here we are back. Long time getting back on the horn here, doing the Get to Know Your Wedding Pro podcast here. Rebecca reached out a couple weeks ago, said we have a new exciting kind of endeavor here. Of course, they're going to be working on. And so I thought good to kind of get back into this, start doing a lot more of these pre-recorded here during the slow season. I'm Reed. Obviously, we'll go around. I should change I have my display name here for my other podcast. But anyway, Rebecca, how are you doing? Why don't you say hi?
I'm doing great. Good to see you again, Reed. Thank you for having us.
So Rebecca, why don't we go around, kind of give a little bit about who you are, and then kind of we'll go around the horn and get everyone's introductions.
Excellent. So for those of you that are a regular listener to Reed's podcast, I think this is my 6th visit on your podcast.
Nice.
I've been on quite a bit. So I might be a familiar face and voice to you, but I'm Rebecca Grant. I'm the owner of New Creations Wedding Planning and also Twin Willow Gardens Wedding Venue, both based in the greater Seattle area.
And Quynh, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are?
Hi, I'm Quynh Nguyen of Pink and Posy. I'm actually a paper artist, so I do paper decor for weddings and events. A lot of commercial brands and things like that approach me to create small, realistic flowers to over-the-top, larger-than-life props for backgrounds, wedding events, museums, things like that. I'm also in the process of writing a book, and I also have my own podcast called Paper Talk. So if you are a creative and want to learn more about the business side and the creative side of doing like just art in general for weddings and events, come listen to us on Paper Talk.
I like that. Good name. I like that. Good branding. And Alicia, how are you? And give us a little background.
Hi there. Thanks for having me too. My name is Alicia Schweedy, and I own Flirty Fleurs, which is a blog for the floral industry. And I have a design studio here in Snohomish called Fleurs Creative, where I teach floral design classes. I have been a floral designer for over 20 years now and specialized in weddings this whole time.
Awesome. Well, we'll get rid of the names here this week and see everyone's face a little bit more. So Rebecca, just because I have the most obviously familiarity with you, kind of walk me through this and then we'll get everything else. I have the website here as well at tri-mastermind.com, and we'll just kind of throw it up on here from time to time to kind of showcase what's going on. But I'm excited about this. I've been reading through it this morning, kind of getting ready for the recording. So why don't you let me know what we have going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So my passion is very much educating our up-and-comer wedding planners and wedding professionals in the Seattle area. Being a wedding planner myself for coming up on 20 years now, it is really important to me as I'm seeing up-and-comers come in and wondering who they're getting trained by, right? Like, I'm not seeing really like them coming on with any company. They're just kind of starting their own company, and that's great. But there's a lot of things that they can really learn from other professionals that have been in the industry for a really long time. So having been longtime friends with both Quynh and Alicia, we got to talking about the need for really being able to train some of the up-and-comers in both Washington as well as the entire nation about different best practices, how to grow a sustainable business that's not going to burn you out, that you're going to have longevity in making sure that you're actually making money too. I think that's a big trap that a lot of up-and-comers get stuck into is, they price themselves super low just because they want to gain that experience and get people to book them. But then they realize, oh my gosh, I'm working so hard for no money. And then they're out in a couple of years, or they just get so burnt out of it that they're like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. So the three of us got to talking about kind of our different disciplines and how they're all kind of associated within the greater wedding and event industry as a whole, but somewhat connected. And we realized through the three of us that we do have over 60 years of experience underneath our belts. And so being passionate about educating newer people that do have established businesses but are looking how to elevate and how to sustain that through the coming years was very much a passion of all three of us. So with that, we combine powers, and here we have Tri-Mastermind that we're launching in January.
So Quynh, is this more, are we, because obviously you guys are all renowned in the Pacific Northwest, is this supposed to be more nationwide, or kind of how are you viewing the demographics of who you want to check this out?
Yeah, our demographic is very wide. I actually have my own students, and I built a business course for my creatives, and they're pretty much all around the world. When I first did my first masterclass, actually Alicia and Rebecca came in to teach at my masterclass. We had people from Australia, Korea, UK come in, and it was really amazing just to see the need for education. And with my particular industry, it is relatively younger than wedding planning or floral design, but it's definitely a huge trend that's going to stay. And that's the question that we always ask in our creative industry is like, is paper flowers still a thing? And as I see it, I'm getting more and more jobs. And it's really interesting now that I have built my career on this and network within my group, and my people have grown in their skills and knowledge and capability. I'm able to like pan out these other jobs that I can't take or even hire them to actually help me build these larger than scale projects. So it's been really amazing that I can hire people from Oklahoma, New York, and have it sent to Seattle, Washington, and have it built out and bring down to California. That's the width of the capacity that we're able to do. And I think a lot of people, when they start in a creative part, and the interesting part on my background is not only am I a creative as an artist, I actually started in the wedding part as a caterer, which I had a business for 6 or 7 years. And I think caterers have not been talked enough. They do need this business part. Yes, a lot of people refer them, but if you don't build that networking or the business part, I mean, food people, food costs is so narrow and so tight. That's some of the knowledge that I can actually bring to the table and talk about costs. And that's one thing that we really want to talk in each of the industry in the wedding component, DJs, photographers. It's all about your margin. And we want to really have a frank discussion about this.
So, Alicia, so this isn't just like I want to be a wedding planner. I mean, is this applicable I'm a videographer, right? If I'm trying to figure out, if I'm trying to jumpstart, Alicia, is that kind of what you're going for? Is that kind of any role in the wedding industry this is going to help fulfill?
Yes, any role in the wedding industry, the photographers, the caterers, the cake bakers, all the different little facets that go into building a wedding. Because if we haven't done it ourselves, we've been very close friends with other people in the industry in those parts too. So we can definitely speak to everybody. And this is about, so all three of us, we have all definitely taught, like I teach floral design. That's a great skill. What we're going to work on is the business side. And so that is going to be applicable to all the parts of the wedding industry.
Well, and Rebecca, like we were just talking before we recorded that you guys are heading to the wedding MBA, and I've done that twice before, and I remember it's so different. Kind of okay, I want to take photos, or I want to do video, or I like baking cakes, and then okay, now we're doing this as a business, and just it's almost like how deep do you want to go in that, right? Because I think there's lots of I wouldn't even say that I'm a great business person, but there's various scales of all that. So, is this I guess if someone approaches you guys, signs up for this, like how basic or how depth, what is the width that this is going to be able to cover?
Absolutely. One of our biggest goals is to be incredibly transparent with what, our experience directly on how we have built a business and really how we price ourselves accordingly. I know when I've given the opportunity to talk with people, especially with the inflation that we've experienced between 2022 to 2023, if you have not raised your pricing by minimum 8%, you're losing money, right? Because inflation has gone up 8 to 9%. So even if you raise just to keep up with inflation, let's say 8%, you're breaking even of what you were making last year, right? So we need to keep up with the trends of the economy to be able to make a lifestyle and the living that we want to make. People don't have any problem still going to Starbucks every day and paying that 40 cents more for a cup of coffee. So why is we as creative professionals, why are we discounting ourselves and going, no, it's going to be too much when literally everything else has gone up around us? And if we don't keep up, that's money out of our pocket. And that is also taking away from, paying my mortgage and paying, for vacation and paying for groceries and the different pieces that we, of course, have going on in our lives as well. So I personally think that talking about finances is super important. I don't know why it's such a taboo subject. in any industry, don't go into a IT position asking your colleague, how much they make. But I think that we as solopreneurs have the obligation to talk with other people about, this is what we should be charging within this range. Otherwise, one, you're discounting your industry as an entirety. And two, you're going to burn yourself out and not have anything to show for it financially. I think that nobody is in the wedding or event industry because they're there to be a millionaire. We're here because we love it. We're passionate about it. Yes, there's opportunity to make a wonderful income out of it. However, you do have to be incredibly passionate about it because it's not a job for the faint of heart.
Not at all. Weekends and evenings are all taken up.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and it's also, you talk about pricing and going into Starbucks. It's always, amazes me and it's not every client, but it always feels like they try to do a little bit more negotiation with, oh, okay, so this is your pricing, like, or what can you do? Like, you never go into McDonald's and like, is that really the price of a Big Mac? Like, can we talk through this? Like, what if we don't get pickles on that? Like, are we able to work through? Quynh, because to me, so I look at this both ways of we want to protect the industry, right? And we want to make sure that there's an integrity to pricing and there's kind of a base level for that. To me, it's also like we're trying to protect the clients that are hiring these individuals, right? Because you do get people like, I'm going to be a wedding planner. I'm going to book 30 weddings for $800 a piece. And then I'm going to flake out and like, then they're screwed. So is that part of it too, is kind of protecting the integrity of that? Will you go first to Quynh and then Alicia?
Yeah, so definitely we're going to be talking about contracts. We want to talk about, how do you go hiring vendors? How do you go hiring like other pieces that you need to fit for the wedding parts? And how about your team? Bringing extra people on staff, coordinators, and things like that. We want to be very frank about that conversation and talk about the legality of hiring people and the photos. I think photos and videos are so important nowadays because social media is such a big part of growing your business. We're going to bring in experts. And I think that's the really important part. And the thing is, we are actually going to bring in the students or our registrants for the mastermind and really find out, what are your needs? It's not going to be like, this week we're going to talk about legal, this week we're going to talk about accounting. We really want to talk to each and every single member and talk about, what do you need from us? How can we help you? What are you brainstorming? And how can we be your bounce board to say, that's a great idea. Oh, I did that. Or, hurdles that you need to overcome.
So then, Alicia, is it not just are you going to be bringing in additional experts in to kind of help fulfill that need as well?
Yes, we're having 2 meetings per month. And so one of the meetings, it will be within our group and we'll have a hot seat and everybody speaks. But the other meeting each month will be a different professional coming in, and it might be a lawyer, the bookkeeper, the accountant. We have quite a bit lined up. So we are going to be bringing in professionals who can help with some of those more detailed questions.
And then Rebecca, we'll get to steps of, okay, what does it actually look like to go through this? But because we obviously do WIPA Seattle, and I think it's they'll bring a keynote, they'll talk through, okay, I really need to do Instagram Reels, right? But then there's no you kind of leave and you're like, oh, that's is there follow through with that, and how is that going to go in terms of, I guess, holding people accountable to kind of the things they should be working on?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, because having been president for WIPA Seattle over the past 2 years, I am very, very passionate about education and really helping to elevate our industry as a whole. With that, you are speaking to a broad group of people. Per WIPA Seattle quarterly meeting, we have on average between 100 to 150 attendees. So the speaker that we bring in has to speak on the most common denominator, right? You can't really get into the trenches of each individual need. And that's one of the things that we're really excited about with being a focused mastermind group and having it be a very intimate group where you are learning directly from us as your instructors. You're also learning from your fellow peers that might have addressed the concern or issue that you're currently having. But in addition to that, be able to have one-on-one time directly with the guest speakers that we're bringing in that are experts in their field, such as accounting, such as CPA, such as a VA for social media, all the parts of us being a business owner. I feel like sometimes, especially when you're new, and I was certainly guilty of that, you try and take on everything. And you'll soon quickly realize you're not good at everything, and nor should you be. Like, not one person is amazing at literally every aspect of running a business. And so I think that that was one of the biggest pieces that I finally got through my head, was like, it is so worth it to pay somebody that is so much better at this than I am, to be able to take that off my plate. They can get it done in so much more of a timely manner. And yes, it's money out of my pocket, but the return on investment is so huge, because one, I get my time back, and two, I can actually focus on my client needs versus trying to be, doing my taxes and my bookkeeping and do my social media posts and do my design boards. I have not touched my social media besides Instagram stories in over 3 years. And I don't think anybody actually realizes that, but it is so great to be able to have somebody that can take that off my plate, that can speak in my voice, showing that I'm active and a participant of our community, and being able to just know that's handled. That piece of my business is taken care of. Same thing with taxes, same thing with bookkeeping. It's really, really important to have those professionals, especially if you want to scale your business, and especially if you do want to branch out in additional businesses. I know when I ended up purchasing our venue a few years ago, like, then having two incomes that were fully off of being self-employed was really important, to have a great tax strategist by our side, and also somebody that can do our books for sure.
Yeah, I remember when the first year I'm like, let me sit down and do these taxes, and then you're like, I have no idea. And also, I think in terms of it's things that you don't even know. Like, I know we have an insurance guy that helps with his home and kind of all that stuff, but does all the business stuff. And even when I'm talking about bringing in like subcontractors, and it's like, okay, well, you need to make sure that they do this. And have you thought about that? There's all these things. I'm like, oh, I was just gonna have Joe go shoot it's like, oh no, you gotta make sure you're kind of thinking through all that. Quynh, are you surprised in that way? Just kind of when people coming into this industry, like Rebecca said, no one is an expert on all these things, just how many different things there is to manage.
I really push that when you first start out as a business owner, do know every single component that runs your business. Know it so well that when you do hire somebody, they better be doing it better than you, and you should recognize if they're doing it wrong. I think that is a really critical and piece that people should understand when they start. It's like, know what you're doing, and then be able to tell the person that you hire is like, I'm not seeing the results, and why am I hiring you? Because I can do it better than you. You need to find someone else. These are frank conversations that we want to have with our group members, and to be able to be very frank and saying, I think you could do this a little bit better. Or have you thought about doing this versus what you're doing right now?
Well, and there's such a level of, I go in, I do this 9 to 5, and I go home and I can kind of turn, kind of leave that work at the office or whatever. And I know that I think, Rebecca and people are better. There's certain boundaries being set than others, or, sending emails at midnight or whatever. Like, but it is that balance. But it's, the self-employed life is not for everyone. In terms, for Alicia, like, how do you kind of, what I'm saying? Like, because you have these people come in like, well, I want to do that. You don't realize like the back end that goes into that to be able to do a wedding for X thousands of dollars and be able to move on. Like, there's many, many, many hours and experience and everything that kind of goes into that maybe you're not doing in the 9 to 5 when you're just punching in.
I think a really big concern is burnout. I think a lot of people jump in. It looks so shiny and pretty, right? It's weddings, it's happy, and they don't realize how many hours it's really going to take. Like you just said, every evening, every weekend. So, and I tried it just like probably everybody the first year. I'm like, I can do my own bookkeeping, no problem. Oh yeah, I did that 1 year and I hired a bookkeeper because I said, what do I not want to do? The other thing, as soon as I hired employees, I hired the paychecks company who every 2 weeks took care of paychecks and all of the legal paperwork. So it's things like that where I think it's so easy to jump in this business, but not know all the different parts of it. And then next thing you know, people last 2 years and burnout will set in.
So Rebecca, if we want to, so we're getting into this here, Tri-Mastermind.com. What does this look like? What does the process look like if I'm someone interested in this?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have an application process. So we do ask that if you are interested to visit trimastermind.com. And then right there, you'll see, click to apply our TriMastermind. And that is where it's a pretty detailed questionnaire. You are going to spend some time on it because we do want to be sure that everyone that is taking this course is invested in it. So once we've received your application with the responses to the questions that we ask, we review it as a team, and then we decide, yes, we're excited to have you as part of this course, or, probably not right now, but check back again with us possibly next year and let us know. And then once we've accepted your application, there'll be a little bit of a gap, really about a month now, because we're going to officially launch this in January. So it is a 6-month commitment. It's going to run January through June 2024, and it's going to run every other Tuesday. We will be meeting virtually via Zoom to be able to cater to people all across the country. And then with that, we also will be having one in-person session where it's going to be in early April in the Snohomish area. And that is where you can actually meet all of your colleagues that you've been taking this course with. So that's the process of getting started. We are looking for applicants currently that are excited about scaling up their business, learning from experts, learning from people who have been there before you and that you can learn from. We want people that are excited to bring in great questions and be able to just be candid and frank about what they're struggling with, what they're succeeding at, and what we can best assist them with.
So Quynh, we talked a little bit, and Rebecca had talked, hiring out certain things, right? Or kind of there's always the cost of doing business. And if you have someone and they're, okay, well, I got to pay for this, or like paying to go to the wedding MBA, like in terms of, the value that you're getting from this, like obviously it's a time commitment, it's a money commitment, but what do you feel like you want people to be able to get kind of back, on top of kind of what they're putting in financially and time wise?
Well, I also want to state that with the experience of the three of us as mentors for this group, every person that is joining our Tribe Mastermind is bringing their experience. And the thing is, over my career as learning as an entrepreneur, is I've learned so much by learning through other people. And you can shorten your learning gap so much by talking to someone that's already gone through the problem. So you don't have to go and struggle through the same mistakes or other mistakes. Overcoming those particular huddles are so important in growing and scaling your business. I think when people get into the business where they're like 4 or 5 years, they kind of get stagnant. They're like, how do I jump up from this particular income to the next level? And having the three of us, with over 60 years of, entrepreneur experience, millions of dollars of income that all three of us has pulled in, we've probably gone through multiple problems and succeeded in so many different ways. Alicia and I I'm in the process of writing a book. She's already published a book. We've all taught, internationally. And it's just been really interesting to have the various different students, the various different clients, various different situation. It really fathoms to better than an MBA, to be honest. I have an MBA, and to know that the cost that you have to go through to MBA now, $60,000, $40,000, this is a penny drop of what you're going to be learning. And the thing is, all three of us are committed to being very frank, very honest, and very sharing of all the experience. And we want everyone to succeed. This is the reason why we're putting together this mastermind. We're at the point in our career that we want to share and see people grow and shine in their own right.
Well, and I think I don't know, the wedding industry, and I guess kind of any small business, but like, it's weird because it's like we're networking, but we're also kind of competitive, but we also kind of want to learn from each other, but we also kind of like, and like I said before, I've never viewed myself as some like expert, whatever, of anything, but like you've been doing, I've been self-employed now for almost a decade. Like, you got to be, something must be, working out at least a little bit here. And so, and like you go to the WIPA or you go to NACE, you go to these things, and I'm sure wherever you are in the country, right, you all have your own little things, but like, I don't want to talk about this kind of stuff when I'm Right. Like we're hanging out, we're having a glass of wine. I mean, maybe we're watching the keynote, but to me, I like this as a lot more focused in terms of like, okay, we're sitting in, we're putting in work here, and maybe I guess a more vulnerable position to kind of want to learn from others and ask questions. Alicia, is that kind of how you're feeling? Like to me, this is like, okay, we're going to drop the walls and kind of figure out what we can learn from each other here, and what like maybe what you're vulnerable with, and kind of get some help with that.
You know, we haven't said this word yet, but I think for the three of us, we like the challenge. That's how we've all kept going in this business for over 20 years. And we've seen the ebbs and flows of business and what we need to do to keep interested and everything. So doing the mastermind group together, we're challenging ourselves and each other, and we all thrive off a good challenge. So I think a lot of it is we want to help others. Well, we definitely want to help others. We want to help them grow and succeed. And we're all for them giving us a little challenge too. So kind of a different thought on that.
No, Rebecca, I guess going through all the different steps of everything, do you feel like you've gotten to this point now? And I know we kind of introed off the top, but being part of the whip and being part of these things and owning the venue and doing like finally kind of settling on this as kind of the medium that you wanted to go with. Like, I guess talk to me about getting to that point now.
Yeah. So over the last couple of years, well, I'll back up even from there. So I've been a wedding planner for 20 years now. And ever since I got into the wedding industry, my what's next was owning a venue. And now that we have that, now that that's a well-oiled machine, it's pretty much operating itself. And I'm looking at the what's next, and one of my biggest pieces that has been a priority to me is education, and really dropping those walls and assisting other vendors, regardless of what category you're in. I did a speak for NACE on how to be a vendor's vendor, about how to collaborate, how to make sure that on a wedding day, we're all working, firing on all cylinders and collaborating with each other. So it's been really a passion project for me to just get out there and help educate and kind of bring in the new generation that is coming behind me. We're now the old ladies of the wedding industry. So how can we help support those younger 20 somethings that were where we once were, and really get them educated and bring them up so they can have a sustainable wedding business over the next 20 years. And so with that, I actually looked into speaking quite a bit. I've been very lucky to have been a keynote speaker for Wedding Network Seattle on Asian and Pacific Islander wedding customs. I've been speaking for NACE on also Asian Pacific Islander wedding customs, talking about how to be a vendor's vendor. I have been several keynote speakers for larger organizations through MPI and whatnot. So that has definitely been on my radar, but I also realize that they don't pay. And in effort to have it be a more focused group where I can really get into the trenches with people and get into the nitty gritty, we realized very quickly that we needed to have this more focused, intimate group. We will be having applicants sign an NDA to make sure that everything in that group does stay confidential, because we do want people to be able to feel free to open and share, and that it's not going to be shared publicly. And so with this focus, one, we can make sure that we're bringing in a little bit of paycheck for our work, of course, and the speakers that we're going to be bringing in. But two, it'll be a lot more of a focused, intentional teaching and education for those new people that want to learn from people that have been around for a long time and that are very successful in the fields that we all represent.
Quynh, do you feel like there is like Rebecca was saying, kind of this new generation? Because I feel like that was kind of with COVID and stuff as well. Like, everyone wanted to get, I can go take photos now, or like I got laid off, or like there's been a lot of like, we do video also. That there's been all these different kinds of things going on. But is there a different mindset of people coming in that, like you said, we said at the top, like wanting to set people up business wise. And I also always, want to protect that client of, not every vendor is created equal. And I think it was my brother-in-law is a lawyer, and we were talking about this, and he said, like you assume like every dentist is the best dentist in the world, but there's always some dentist that was the last in his or her class and is still, we're all still kind of in the same industry here. So are you seeing a different kind of mindset of vendors coming in now than it was maybe when you guys all got in, or we all got into the industry?
I'm seeing a trend of people that have been in careers in tech, and they're finding this creative need to switch gears, and they're already experienced on their own right with the path that they were going, but now they really want to satisfy the need for them inside themselves, the creative part. And it's interesting. It's not the younger people, but the middle-aged people or the older generation. People that are about to retire. They're like, I still have juice inside me that I still want to work. But the thing is, they haven't been a business owner. They haven't done their own taxes in, the B&O taxes, all the different things, putting your license with the state. I'm talking to creatives where they haven't even registered their business and been filing it under their social security number. A big no. If you are a business owner or running a business and you are filing under your own social security number, please stop and go and register your business, because there's a lot of liability to that. And if you get sued and you do something wrong, they could go after your house, your own bank account. I mean, there's a lot of experience in talking about this. Luckily, I've always been on the right path, and I have an MBA in business, and that's something that you learn right off the bat. But people that are in tech or other parts of, the industry, they don't know about this and this is where we want to educate you and make sure everyone's on the right foot. And we want to be very proactive and say, you know what? I've been watching you on Instagram. Can I share you some tips? I mean, we're not going to be very in your face. You need to do this or that, but we want to advise you and saying, the law is this. You might want to redirect the path that you're going. So that's the things that we want to talk about in this group.
Well, like I said, I like that there's a little bit more of accountability, that we're going through this. It's not a one-off. And I'm the worst that way. I go to the wedding MBA. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And then and then it's on my notepad somewhere for the next 3 years, So do you feel like this forum is going to help? I guess accountability is the right word, kind of help people follow through that way.
Yeah. So actually, I'm going to jump in real quick. We're going to be doing hot seats. And that's one of the really important thing about the bi-weekly meetings that we're having is you're going to be in the hot seat where you can actually ask the group a question. You can share a problem and have the whole group be a bounce board, because you don't know who has gone through that experience. Mm-hmm. And if they, know the answer or know the right person that you need to help in your project, they're there to help you. And I think as a mastermind group, the whole group is all trying to help each other. I think that's the important thing. As you go to all these network meetings, you're busy about networking and trying to, give business cards. This is what I do. You don't really get to know the nitty gritty of that person to really become a friend and a colleague that you would trust to say, I know a video guy. He's amazing. And you can refer him right off the bat because you trust him. And you know that because your namesake in the wedding business is very important for clients, for other business vendors. And having this group and know the quality that you're bringing in and what they're bringing out is a huge win.
Well, that's always I go back, and I like doing it and filming and obviously kind of being a part of the community. But yeah, it's hard. Okay, here's my business card. Please refer me over anyone that you've known the last 10 years of your life. I'm always there's a fine there line. Alicia, any follow-up thoughts on that? And then we'll kind of maybe do a final go home here of kind of anything else we want to talk about. Alicia, any thoughts?
I am thinking how you mentioned the wedding MBA, which I've gone to all of those huge events over the years, and I'm so in love with them when I'm there. I'm all got my notepad out. I'm writing all this stuff, but it's so much information at one time, and I get back, and then the day-to-day grind gets in the way, and then 3 years later, I find that notebook and went, oh, I didn't do all that. So what I do and I do don't get me wrong, I love all those big events. But what we're doing here is helping people every 2 weeks. You get together, you check in with each other. Having that accountability is going to make all the difference, especially if you're with a group of people who are moving and working on the same stuff. It's just going to be very encouraging and kind of just smaller steps to get it all done.
Rebecca, I guess, and we talked about the application process and kind of all that stuff. Is there like a minimum number of weddings or like a minimum number of experience, or like how do I know like is this right for me versus like I'm excited to kind of learn more?
Sure. So we are looking for established professionals. And what we mean by established is just people that have been in business for a year or more. We're not looking for the people that are looking to switch careers, that are like, this would be brand new information to them. We want you to come in already having your business set, having clients on the table, but really looking for the what's next and what can I be doing better in my job and how can I make this easier for me? What tools are available to me in terms of apps and resources that are open. Let's share the name of our CPAs. Let's share the name of our virtual assistants. Like, let's really get you going so you don't have to do the research on your own.
Quynh, kind of final thoughts from you, final sell, anything else here before we get out?
So the commitment for this particular mastermind is for 6 months, and the payment is $500 a month. That includes the 2 monthly meetings plus the in-person that we're going to be having at Rebecca venue. So if you're curious about her venue, this is a great opportunity to come and see. And the best part is to meet all of us in person, because when you do meet somebody face to face and give them a big hug, that's where the friendship really cements.
Alicia, any other final thoughts from you?
Just a reminder to everybody, if you're reading all of this and you think you want to do it, but you're not sure, reach out to one of us. So we are all very friendly. We want to help people. We'll answer your questions. So just reach out and we'll talk you through it.
Rebecca, final go home stuff from you?
Absolutely. So we will be doing more Instagram lives. If you missed our one yesterday, you can join us again at 9 a.m. on November 14th. It'll be on all 3 of our channels, so you can watch that and learn more information. If you do have any questions, as Alicia mentioned, feel free to reach out to us, any one of us directly, or you can go to our trimastermind.com website and fill out a submission form, and we'll look forward to having you soon.
Well, that's exciting. I always get excited kind of going through and things like this and trying to, I get motivated and then I get distracted. So we'll be focused here, do all that. I'm excited to kind of jumpstart this again, kind of to get to know your wedding pro. If you are a vendor and interested in coming on, you can go to bestmadeweddingvideos.com/podcast guest or bestmadevideos.com/podcast guest. Trying to do these more. I have another one coming up with a new venue down in Buckley. So getting through that. But if you're a vendor, curious, wanting to share your story and all of that. Anything else from you guys before we get out of here?
I appreciate you having us on again. Thanks so much, Reed.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Let's see if this outro here works as well as the intro. Thanks.